Hello, hello. Light is weird. I know it's 4 o'clock, so the sun is starting to go down, and the light is weird, so we're just gonna roll with it. I am talking in this video about foundations, specifically this one from NYX. This is the NYX Total Control Cover Drops. So the NYX Total Control Cover Drops comes in 26 shades with a bunch of different undertones, which is awesome. I have the shade Vanilla. It is a light shade, obviously, with a warm undertone. Now, the last kind of new drugstore foundation I tried was the Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation. I got it in the shade Nude Ivory, which is a light neutral color. I don't know if you'll be able to tell, but the Wet n Wild is definitely a little bit more pink than the NYX, and actually I think the NYX is a better match for me. Even though I would still say that I have neutral undertones, I lean more warm than cool, so this one works out really well. Now, one drawback is that this has less product than a typical foundation does, and it's a little on the pricey end for the drugstore. It's $14, $13.99 at Ulta, and you get 13 mil. Now, the Wet n Wild foundation is $5.99, and you get 30 mil. 30 mil is the standard, general standard in foundations. So you're not getting as much, but I think that could work out fine. So just so you know, for me, I don't tend to gravitate towards that really heavy, flawless kind of Instagram base. That's not really my jam. I prefer my skin to look like skin, and my dream foundation just makes it look like I have amazing skin, even and healthy looking, and ideally doesn't look like makeup on my face. That was my biggest problem with the Wet n Wild foundation, is it really sits on top of your skin rather than blending into it. It looks quite makeupy. It looks great in pictures, which is kind of what they are marketing it as, something that looks really good in photographs or on video. But, you know, most of my time is spent in real life, you know, interacting out in the world. So I would rather have it look good there than have it look good on camera, if that makes sense. So with this foundation, I think if you are looking for something that does have that flawless Instagram base, this is maybe not what you want, because it will take, you can probably get there, but it will take a lot of product. They say that, you know, 4 drops to full coverage. No. I put 4 drops and I get a nice kind of light medium coverage. How I like to wear this, generally speaking, I wear it one of 2 ways. Today, I put a thin layer all over. I find that it is best blended either kind of patted in with fingers or blended in with a buffing brush. This is the Real Techniques buffing brush. Something dense and soft. Use a light hand and just blend it in. I don't find that it works as well with a sponge. That's just my experience with it. So I will either do that, or I will just use it in spots. Because it's such a good shade match, I can just use it in certain spots. I don't have to put it all over my face, which is another way I've enjoyed using it. I tend to focus it on my nose, kind of this area right here tends to be a little red, maybe a little on my chin. But at the moment anyway, my skin is doing pretty well. I probably shouldn't say that, because every time I do, the next day, my skin stops doing so well. As far as application, I find that this blends really easily, but it sets quite quickly. So it doesn't give you a whole lot of wiggle room. It is a very fluid, runny consistency. You can see it's very liquidy. And like I said, I think if you are not trying to build it up to full coverage, This will probably last just as long as any other foundation, even though there is less in here. I find, you know, if I do the all over thing, 4 drops, blend it all in, and then I'll use maybe another drop just to add a little extra coverage around my nose or something like that. And that's really all I need to get the level of coverage that I usually go for. It does set down to a pretty matte finish, and my skin at the moment is combo. It usually leans a little oily, but it's actually been quite dry recently. I'm still quite oily on my nose and my forehead, but my cheeks and my chin have been really especially dry recently. I mean, we're in the middle of winter. It's actually finally gotten cold where I live and started to snow a lot. So I've been dealing with a little bit more of dry skin. And I don't find that this is a problem on my, you know, kind of drier cheeks and chin. But what it does catch on is little dry, flaky patches. So I'm just kind of getting over some little, I'm assuming hormonal breakouts, because nothing in my skincare routine has changed. I don't know. And, you know, putting a little acne medication on it gets a little bit dry and flaky, and this will catch on that sort of thing. So if you have dry, flaky patches like that in your skin, this is not going to do it any favors, I don't think. If you have oily skin, I think this is going to be really nice for you. And I'm very curious to see how this is for me in the summertime when, you know, everything's a little less dry. Now, with all foundations that I try anyway, it lasts fine, great on my face except for my nose. And of course, my nose is the one place where I would like the coverage to last a little bit longer. So I've had this on, let's see, what time is it? I've had this on for about 6 hours. It has started to break down on my nose. Now I'm not sick, but I think just because it's winter or something, I don't know, my nose is just constantly running. So I'm constantly blowing my nose. So, you know, in 20 minutes, foundation, regardless of what it is gone from around my nostrils just because of that. But, you know, it's kind of started to, hopefully this is showing up, I don't know, trying to see, and I can't. Nice and close up. Sexy. I know. So it started to break up on my nose a little bit, which happens with every foundation I have ever tried ever, and it's so annoying. I mean, first world problems, I know, but it's still really annoying. But my cheeks are holding up fine. I actually didn't even set my cheeks. I did put some powder on my nose and on my forehead, and I'm a little bit shiny. I'm actually gonna, let's just fix that up real quick. My usual complaint is it doesn't really stay on my nose, and I find that it does look like makeup on my nose. The rest of my face, it looks fine, as long as I blend it in speedily. But it can look a little bit makeup-y on my nose. But all in all, I'm a big fan of this. So I think if you would like something that has a buildable amount of coverage, you're not necessarily looking for that full Instagram coverage on a day-to-day basis, you don't mind a more matte finish, I would say give this a shot. If you have, you know, dry, flaky skin, this is probably not going to be your best friend. If you want that really heavy, flawless look, again, you can get there with it, but it's going to take a time and a lot of product. I just think look elsewhere. So I hope this video has been helpful. Please let me know if you have any questions or comments, or if you have any experience with this product, or you've heard what I really like in a foundation. If you have any suggestions, I am open, because as much as I do really like this product and I do not regret buying it, it's certainly not my holy grail. So I'm still on the hunt. So if you know of a really fantastic skin-like, cruelty-free foundation, maybe that will last on my freaking nose, then please leave that below as well. And in the meantime, I hope you are having an excellent day, and I will see you in the next one.